Tune in to Arise, the new wave media experience with Latonya, Smiley, and HR. Arise for a strong dose of love, joy, laughter, and information for healthy living.
Well, we're living in our purpose because God put us on this earth. Our purpose on this earth was to encourage each other. I often wonder why there are so many people, but that is the way God operates. We are an encouragement to some people who are discouraged from feeling that they can succeed. And success only comes by failure. A certain amount of failure leads to success. The attitude is, I am not going to quit. I'm going to stick it out until the end. Hello, this is HR, along with Latonya, Smiley, and we are currently going through something right now with the pandemic, as it's been described as a war zone. But on the phone, we have a truly recognized doctor, Dr. Douglas Geiger, who has come to our airways to discuss the medical facts of what you need to know about the coronavirus. And we're going to talk in depth as to what concerns we must have, true concerns that we must have about the virus that's been spoken about in so many different ways. Dr. Geiger, thank you for coming to the airways today and speak about what's going on.
Well, thank you, Mr. HR and Ms. Latonya Smiley. I'm Dr. Douglas Geiger. I I'm from a small town called Barnesville, Georgia. I went to Florida State University, finished a degree in chemistry in 3 years, and I was accepted to medical school at Emory University School of Medicine, where I trained at Grady Hospital primarily, and I did a internship at the University of Maryland Medical Systems in Baltimore, Maryland, prior to being accepted as a general surgery resident at Howard University School of Medicine. I was promoted to my 4th year. It was a 5-year residency. I decided that I did not want to pursue the career of cardiovascular surgery, so I came back to Georgia in 94 and 95, where I worked in emergency rooms and also began establishing a practice from 2002 up until today. I did work in public health for about 8 years, whereby I primarily dealt with communicable diseases such as tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, and STDs. Okay. So I'm honored to come on your show today, and I want to talk to the public about the coronavirus and its impact.
Because have you seen anything like this before?
Well, I haven't in my lifetime seen it. However, I became very curious about pandemics, and I did a little bit of research. Now, the pandemic that I am very, very, very familiar with, of course, is HIV/AIDS, because I began medical school in 1985 at Emory. Right. The first case of AIDS was in 1981. And so as a student, I had to work midnight and go to school during the day, which was very difficult, very challenging. And one of the job I had was I was a pulmonary technologist, which meant I had to go into ICU rooms, gowned up, gloved up, face mask, and my eyes covered, and I had to draw blood from these young white male, mostly homosexuals who were HIV positive, and we had no medications at that time to treat them. So I did a little bit of research on the pandemic of HIV/AIDS, and it peaked between 2005 and 2012. I began working with the virus in 2006, and I left in 2014. So the HIV/AIDS pandemic had already peaked. But the thing about the HIV/AIDS pandemic is 36 million people have died since 1981. And between 31 to 35 million people today are living with HIV. But as you may know, now people with HIV don't necessarily have a death sentence just from having the virus. They can live longer lives, die from heart attacks, cancer, stroke, diseases that people who are not HIV positive die from. So in that sense, I am familiar with a pandemic, but not the coronavirus pandemic. But the coronavirus pandemic does kind of go along with the way the flu pandemic has been over the years. Thank the Lord, we haven't reached the 100,000 deaths in America yet. But it's slowly climbing right now. So I did look at some other pandemics like the Asian flu, 1956 to 58, 2 million deaths. The flu pandemic in 68, 1 million deaths. That was mostly in Hong Kong, where they lost 500,000 people. Smallpox killed 300 to 500 million people, but it has been in existence for at least 12,000 years. So that has been the biggest pandemic. Other pandemics, of course, was the flu pandemic in 1918. This killed about 20 to 50 million people. And then 500 million people were infected worldwide. And also 10 to 20% mortality rate. That's significant. 10 to 20% mortality rate. So we also saw about the sixth cholera pandemic. Now, the difference between this cholera pandemic and these other pandemics is that the flu and the smallpox are viral organisms, whereas this cholera pandemic, cholera is a bacteria, causes very prominent diarrhea and dehydration and death.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, Dr. Geiger, could you back up just a slight? Now, when you say it's viral, explain that. You were saying the difference.
Well, we have infectious organisms that detected usually through microscopy, looking at it under the microscope. We have very, very high magnifications nowadays. We can even see the viruses under particular scopes. And the virus is a lot smaller, usually than a bacteria. Bacteria is a different type of organism. Bacteria we usually can treat with antibiotics, whereas a viral infection, hopefully we have some antiviral medications to give the patient. Like, of course, with HIV/AIDS, which is a viral infection, we have what we call antiviral agents that we use in the case of HIV. So a lot of times people go to the doctor and they have a viral infection. They're expecting the doctor to write them some antibiotics, which the doctor has to explain. This is not indicated unless, there are other illnesses that have been caused, by this virus that end up being bacterial in origin. Then we can treat with antibiotics.
Okay.
Does that explain that a little?
Yeah, that explains it. I haven't heard it like that either, explained like that all the time. But yeah, that really explains it, the difference right there.
Okay.
So
well,
with
more.
Mm-hmm.
There was another flu pandemic in 1889 to 1890 that killed a million people. A lot of us know it as the Asiatic flu or the Russian flu. So that's
So Dr. Geiger, with the coronavirus, what do you're in the field, you see what's going on, and like you said, you have studied the previous pandemics. So what can you say about this one, just based on what you've seen and what you already know?
That's a very good question because we're all learning this virus together. Like they say on CNN, we all are in this together. The good thing about these other pandemics that we've had, we've learned from. The coronavirus was so effective because of the way we can now travel all over the world. We couldn't travel like we're traveling now back in these other pandemics, but yet these pandemics were significant. So the coronavirus is a different type of virus. This one is, this COVID-19, but it's from the same family of viruses, coronavirus. You know, remember SARS and MERS, those infections being Asian in origin. Same thing about this coronavirus. It also started in China. And what we're learning is that it's very contagious, which is not like what we've seen like with the flu or even with pneumonia. You know, you can touch surfaces and acquire this virus. So we're recommending, you know, that when we do go out in the public, that we cover ourselves, especially face masks, our eyes. There can be places of infection, and use hand sanitizers, wash our hands. You know, most times doctors wash their hands routinely anyway, but now we're even doing it more. You know, and then I can truly say some of the doctors have slipped during the time, because I remember working with a doctor, and he would just stick his finger tipped in the water, and I'm like, why isn't this guy washing his hands?
Right.
So that has become very significant now.
Okay. So what else can you tell us about this pandemic?
Well, COVID-19, at first we thought it was an infection that was only killing the elderly or those who had pre-existing conditions like diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, things of that nature. But we're learning now that not only does it affect people who are healthy, but it also affects the young. And just recently, it's come out that our population of blacks in America are more likely to be infected and die from the disease. And they're given different types of
I just saw that. Yeah, I just saw that statistics. I just read that last night in Chicago, the high percentage of African Americans who are dying from the coronavirus.
And the experts seem to think that it's because of the overcrowding, the conditions that most blacks are subject to live in, the disparity, meaning that most blacks don't get the type of health care they need or take the medications that they're supposed to have. And these are some of the reasons they're thinking that it is now being dominant in our society of black people. This also happened with HIV/AIDS. It started off as a gay white person disease, white man disease. Now it's primarily in the black community, especially in places like Atlanta, San Francisco. You know, but you still have the vast majority of infections in men who have sex with men. That's.
Well, it's interesting that you would bring up about the availability of medication. So that brings me to the vaccine. Now, do you have any idea of when those vaccines come into play? Like, how they're going to start distributing those vaccines?
Well, I'm thinking that they're going to start with people who don't mind being, for a better term, guinea pigs. So people will start panicking enough to take the risk of having to try something that's new, that's never been tried before. Unfortunately, that's when we can get the data we need. So they're going about it different ways. Of course, they have isolated antibodies from patients who have recovered from the virus, and this is a type of what we call mono antibody therapy. That was just a notion when I was a medical student, and now it's become a reality. So they're going to be able to do that, use the antibodies. They're trying to develop a vaccine. You remember we talked about smallpox killing 300 to 500 million people. That virus ended up with a vaccine, and that's why we were able to gain control over that pandemic. Same thing may happen with COVID-19, the C virus or the coronavirus, but they need people to test. And unfortunately, they can't do it in monkeys or dogs or other mechanisms that are used in research. They have to do this clinically, which means somebody has to undergo the vaccine that is being worked on, or the antibodies that are being worked on, or what other other drugs that may can slow it down, give the body a chance to form a better immunological attack against the virus.
Mm-hmm.
But they're saying that with this new vaccine, once it's developed, in the Christian community, they urge not to take it because of the fact that that's how the chip will be installed into our bodies, simply because it'll be injected into our hands. And not only will it be a method of gaining information, but the ultimate method of buying and selling.
Yes, I'm very aware of what we're getting ready to undergo in the Book of Revelation. As a matter of fact, in our church, I'm a Sunday school teacher. I'm an associate pastor, and we talk about the Book of Revelation, the plagues, the pestilences that are coming. Of course, the mark of the beast and all of this and that. So we are living in some pretty trying times right now, and we do have to be kind of careful and mindful.
So how are we able to? Because like you say, you're a pastor, and many of us are spiritual, and we're Christians, or believing in something, and so and then you have the different theories and the different conspiracies. You have different. How are people able to? How are you able to decipher between the medical part and the whole conspiracy, so forth?
We have to be mindful. We have to be prayerful when we're going to the doctor. I know a lot of, especially our older, blacks are very careful to subject themselves to experiments. Basically, what I was talking about earlier, that at some point somebody's going to have to come forth and be experimented on, and that's what the country or the government is waiting for. And fortunately, among our blacks here in America, we are very spiritual people. They did a study on the American Bible Association or something like that. I found that 97% of black households have Bibles in them, whereas 50% of white households have Bibles. So we're just going to have to stay, prayed up, and we're going to have good leaders, and everybody's going to have to know the times that we're living in. But right now, coronavirus can be a matter of life and death. So, we have to, we already know what the scriptures say about it. It's going to either be in our forehead or either in the palm of our hands. And I already know they're experimenting with different chips. They're already using our eyes to detect who we are when we go up to doors to unlock them and things of that nature. So we're just living in the last days, and I wouldn't discourage people from going to see if they can get treated if they're very sick. But at some point, you're just gonna have to say who are you gonna, whose report you're gonna believe. So it's a very challenging thing to be a medical doctor and to be a preacher, because I've had to battle with this all my entire career, and I've suffered drastically from the medical society for my views, especially when it comes down to biblical scriptures and things of that nature.
So moving forward, where do you feel like what do we do? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think
what do you think for us?
I think we need to pay attention, to the guidelines that are being set forth. There is some good news. It looks as if New York is starting to, uh, you know, flatten the curve, basically, or plateau is what we call it in
Mhm.
medicine. So it seems like the death rates the death rates have gone up drastically in the last few weeks, but it's gotten to a point now where it's kind of tapering off, which is some good
Okay.
news. We need to continue to do what is recommended. Wash our hands, wear face masks if we can get them. If we can't, make us something. Um, do what we can to stay safe. If they want us to stay at home, do that as well. Get out only if we necessarily need to. Start using the internet, grocery shopping for other things. Some of these stores, they did a good thing by establishing their internet, orders. Of course, we know what Amazon did. Walmart is following that pattern. So we can, reduce our chances of getting the virus. But if we do have the virus, depending on the severity of it, we may need to seek medical attention. If you go to the ER, they're gonna either test you or send you somewhere where you can be tested. And if you're not sick, you can quarantine at home. You don't necessarily have to be in a hospital. Hospitals are
But
those
that,
who I have very. Mm-hmm. The
but
hospitals are those
Dr.
who have
Geiger,
yes, ma'am.
Dr. Geiger, when you made the point about that's the tricky part for me. That's the part that I don't quite understand because they'll send you back home, but by the time maybe it's just me thinking this way, but by the time you get home, hopefully when you start having those symptoms, hopefully you will get back to the doctor and to the hospital in time enough so that you could be cured of those, work through those symptoms. But if you're at home, it's pretty much a catch-22, as they say.
Yeah, but I was trying to get to the part about the hospitalization. When you start having problems breathing, when you know that your breathing is not what it should be, and you're feeling like you can only that you're gasping for breath or whatever, that's the time to go to the hospital if they haven't already noted those symptoms. That's not a time to go home. That's why they're needing ventilators and suctioning respiratory therapists, because they do a lot of the chest physical therapy, and they do a lot of the suctioning. And I understand this disease produces a lot of mucus, which blocks the airways. So therefore, patients are needing to stay on the ventilator until all of that resolves. And if we can keep them on the ventilator long enough, they may even recover.
Okay. Because I have been hearing about different interviews of people who actually came through it and survived it. And one thing that I'm starting to hear is about your immune system being able to fight it. Your body being able to fight it alone. How important is that outside of them using the ventilator? And like I think one interview I heard last night, the young lady was saying that she didn't take the Tylenol for her fever initially because it was important for her body to fight the fever herself. So how important is it for your own immune system to fight it?
That's a very good question because, when we're talking about nutritious eating, we're still talking about your fresh fruit and vegetables and all that contain the type of vitamins and minerals that your body needs to help boost its immune system. Unfortunately, for a lot of blacks, we are what they call deficient in we're deficient rather in vitamin D. We really can never get enough of vitamin C, and these are two vitamins that are very essential to helping with your immune system. So if we eat good, eat right, that's going to help our bodies as well. There are natural ways of, getting better without having to take medication. But in this case, there's nothing to take. So you might as well try to fight it, by boosting your immune system. But one thing I did find out, that's some good news, is that worldwide the death rate is at 5.6%. The U.S. death rate is 2.9% as of today, which is almost half the percentage of the worldwide death rate, which is good. Italy had gotten its death rate up to 6.66%, and that was during the lockdown. So they had the highest death rate. The worldwide death rate is next, and then America has a lower death rate. So that might mean that we were able to, start mitigating at the right time. I think they say 97% of homes are now at a stay-home order throughout the country, which is a good, very high percentage of people who are cooperating. So with that, I think if we, do what we can do, then the Lord will do the rest for us.
Yeah, because there are statistics that's saying now that that is good information, because there are statistics that saying that 80% actually survive the coronavirus. I think it's like 80%. So just to let people know, the ones that listening now, let them know that people are actually surviving the coronavirus.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. So
we want to
That's true how they're going about developing a vaccine and some antibodies to fight it too, because they want to recover it. So that's a good thing.
So staying safe is the key thing, and we just got to continue to try to stay safe. But one thing I do want to say is I've noticed the different information, how information is constantly changing as it relates to this pandemic. Like at first I was hearing that it was attacking the lungs. Now I'm hearing more about cardiac arrest. It's causing cardiac arrest now.
Okay.
And so I guess we're still in the learning field as it relates to this particular virus.
That's true. No, that's true. We're learning more and more every day about it. But I do want to interject that I think the government was trying to be very careful with letting out too much information at the wrong time and at the wrong pace. Had we known that everybody needed to wear face masks, everybody needed to wear gloves when they're touching surfaces, everybody would have ran out, grabbed everything. It's been like, it would have been really bad. So they kind of
like they're doing the toilet tissue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go in stores, you can't even find paper towels, because everybody's washing their hands. Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, yes, sir.
Can I just ask one question? Is it possible that, in spite of the seriousness of this epidemic, that information can be gathered incorrectly as far as not necessarily the effects of it, but the cure or the reason why things are the way they are?
That's true. The thing is, we don't know whether China is being truthful. They showed us, I guess yesterday or 2 days ago, that they had reopened the country. But then we don't quite know exactly how many deaths they had, because they're not going to completely reveal that to us. The second thing is the Trump administration is getting ready to go into, he's going toward his second term, so he may not be, telling us a lot either, So, they've been putting threats on Dr. Fauci's life. I don't know what it is he's saying or doing that's causing that. So a lot of stuff we may not even know yet.
Exactly.
Pastor, so so I do agree. Yeah, that's true. We have to be the Bible. The Bible says we have to try the Spirit by the Spirit. See what's
Right.
God, and that's what we got to do during these times. We got to see, Lord, are you really asking me to go here to this hospital, or are you really asking me to, take this medicine or get this vaccine or try this treatment? Just like we've always done as a people, we've always had to rely on him. So it's back to that same thing now. We can't ever get away from him. Every time we try to get away from our true and living God, look what happens. So I think he's at least allowing us to come together during this time.
So, lastly, being that, you're in the field, and so what do you have to say about the healthcare industry being on the front lines out there?
I think we've now caught on to what it takes to be safe in treating patients. Back when this virus first started spreading in America, most of the doctors and nurses didn't even have a face mask on. This is a respiratory disease. Why would you cover your nose, your mouth, your eyes, where the virus could get into the body? So I think that was something that caused a lot of death on the front lines initially. But now, we're starting to, use what we need to use it. For what they call it PPE. I don't know exactly what the name, the initials represent, but I know it's protective gear that the doctors and nurses and even phlebotomists and other people that are coming in contact with the patient, they need to wear. Plus, working long hours. That kind of weakens our immune system too.
Yeah.
Proper sleep.
Especially when they're telling us to get rest.
Right.
And especially, yeah.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to catch up on some rest during this time. I mean, I know it is a serious situation, but when I started looking at the other pandemics where millions of people died, then I think we may be we may have done what we needed to do to keep this one from being another really, really bad pandemic. We'll just see. And let's all keep the faith and stay prayed up. Let's keep, encouraging our members and, and our family and everyone that we will get through this.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. There's one more thing. Being that you are a pastor, what do you have to say about the social distancing for the church, as far as the church not being in the building now? I think you did touch on that earlier. And what do you have to say to the pastors who are still, going to the church and having the church in the building?
Well, I at first I understood the argument that one pastor had about being able to have, being able to worship, but the thing is, we can still worship, but we need to realize that the church is also a place where infections can, spread. We don't know who has the virus. A lot of people don't even have symptoms who have the virus.
Right.
So I think we need to develop other ways of engaging our members, our church leaders, deacons, and everyone, through social media or through the internet, or or like a lot of doctor offices are now doing, using software like Zoom and things of that nature to talk with the patients. Not all doctors can use telemedicine, but majority of the doctors can. So with the church, we just got to find a way to communicate that doesn't bring a lot of people together at this time. And we hope and pray that soon we will be able to open our church doors. And you know what? I'm hoping and praying that the people who wouldn't come will flood the church doors when we do get over this pandemic.
And that's one good positive way of looking at it. One good positive way of looking at it is draw more people to your congregation. And Dr. Geiger, I really want to thank you so much. You gave more information than we even expected.
Well, praise the
And it
Lord.
was so helpful. Thank you so much. And we're going to definitely have to have you to come on again and you might just end up being our medical expert for the show, for this whole coronavirus epidemic.
Okay, well, praise the Lord. I'm honored.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mr. HR. Pastor.
All right, take care. It was very interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Thank you. Praise the Lord.
Okay.
Y'all have a
All
blessed
right.
one now. Bye-bye.
All right.
For the past 1 hour, we've been speaking with Dr. Geiger. I'm HR, along with Latonya Smiley. I really enjoyed that conversation because Dr. Geiger gave us the pros and cons of what we're dealing with this coronavirus. Now, if you have any questions, where can a person email us at, Latonya?
You can email us at ariseshow2020@gmail.com. That's ARISESHOW 2020@gmail.com. And we are looking forward to hearing from you. And if you're doing something out there and you want the world to hear about it, please email us and share it with us so we can share it with the world. Until then, keep loving, keep caring, and keep laughing.
You have been listening to Arise with Latonya Smiley and HR. Contact us at ariseshow2020@gmail.com.
And then once the end has come about, then you turn around and you look at all your failures and see that you are successful. So our purpose is to be successful, but it's not going to be easy. It's a step-by-step process. Once the process is completed, either your hands are raised in your endeavors, or even if you're at your side, you can still look at yourself in the mirror and recognize the fact that you have succeeded and finished until the end.
Contact us at ariseshow2020@gmail.com.